Yo, what's up guys? My name is JT. We're going to open up this brand new gorgeous Broadway Limited model right here on Model Railroading Southwest. This is the brand new 2024 release of the Broadway Limited HO Scale Big Boy number 4014. Let's take a look at the box. So this is a very large box and it's very heavy. So let's take a look at the end over here. Here is the model number and all of that. So this is the UP Big Boy number 4014. This is the Big Boy Tour Excursion appearance with Paragon Force sound and smoke. So this is not the Promontory glossy version. I decided not to get that one just because I am afraid of fingerprints on all of my models. A lot of people ask me why the gloves. That is the reason I hate fingerprints on models, because if you catch the light just right, you'll see them and it makes them look like, it makes them look terrible. So let's take a look at this box. So the way you open up the box is you slide the model out just like this. This one's pretty tight. So here we are. Oh, here we have a small little ad here. Well, here's for the Union Pacific business cards. If you guys have not seen those, go check them out. Go look at the website or look at them on Train World. They have all of them there. So here's we'll take a look at this real quick. Okay, so like I said earlier, this is not the glossy version. This is the standard version. Like I said, the reason I opted for this one is because I think it just looks better and I don't like fingerprints. So imagine taking that out of the box and just touching it and getting it full of fingerprints. It'll be a mess. It's like ordering a black car. Like, that's like the worst color vehicle you can get. I mean, don't get me wrong, they look great, but man, they get so dirty so quickly, so dusty. It was not for me. So let's take a look at this. So the way you pop this out is you just slide this out in theory. So I'd like to say that I was really looking forward to maybe Broadway making this packaging like they did with the GS4. Now that packaging was top notch. This is like the older one, like the older Big Boy that I reviewed a couple years ago. So let's try to get this out. So we'll try to pull this out just like this. Be very careful. There we go. Not too bad. Here is the funnel for the smoke fluid. Over here you'll find this little slot here with an envelope, and inside that what you'll find is a quick start guide for all the sounds and all the functions. And here's the operator's manual. Bunch of information on here how to operate your locomotive. We'll go ahead and put those to the side. We'll go ahead and put this box to the side as well. So let's take a look at this label real quick. This is very important. Do not put your locomotive on the track with track power. That could, cause a ton of problems. You could blow your decoder. Who knows what could happen. Just turn off the power, put the locomotive on the track, turn it on, you're good to go. It's not too hard. So the way you just slide this out. Go ahead and get that little package out. Go ahead and try to pull that out. Alrighty. So you just slide these or drop those two pieces out. And on the top in the packaging, made a little bit of a crash there. So on the top, you'll find that there are some little packages. Now in this one, you'll find that there is a knuckle coupler in here, an operational coupler. You can replace the front dummy coupler with this one, and you can run double-headed trains. Over here, you'll find the smoke deflector. You just pop this on top of the smokestack, and it looks pretty good. Over here, you'll find a tool to remove the components for the drivers, like the rods, and here are some spare traction tires in case you mess one up. Over here is a small package. I'm assuming these are the decals for the Big Boy print for the boiler. So we'll go ahead and open this up to take a look. Yep, there we go. It's on the blue one. Kind of caught me off guard. So like I said, these are the Big Boy decals, and there's different scripts for them. As you can see, they're different. They have different styles of the way they're written depending on when this was written on the boiler. So let's go ahead and open this up. So the way you just pop this open, and there it is. So I'll go ahead and take this locomotive out. We'll put it on the Lazy Susan and we'll take a closer look. So here we have 4014 sitting on its own box because this thing is massive. It is so long, it is huge. It didn't fit on the Lazy Susan by itself, so here we have it on the box. So I was explaining to you guys in my original Big Boy review, if you saw that video, that I was going to wait for Scale Trains to produce 4014 and I was going to pick that one up. I had spoke to them about a year and a half ago, or maybe a little bit longer, and they had told me they were going to release it soon. Now, I was really excited when they were going to release a steam engine. I thought it was going to be the Big Boy. Turns out to be the J class. So here we are. Now we have the Broadway limited version of the 4014, and this thing is gorgeous. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to pick up the Scale Trains version, because I sure as heck am going to pick that up to see how well Scale Trains produces that Big Boy. Now, when that happens, I will pick it up and do a side-by-side comparison between the Broadway limited and the Scale Trains version. Now, I don't know when that's going to be. It's going to be maybe about 2, 3, 4 years, maybe a couple of months. I don't know when that's going to happen, but it will. I tell you guys, I'm going to do it. So here we have Big Boy 4014 by Broadway Limited, and this thing is gorgeous. It looks great. I'm already impressed by it. Even though I already have a Big Boy, this thing is just absolutely gorgeous. Every time I see one of these, they just blow my mind. So let's take a closer look and let's start the review. So let's go ahead and start off with the front of the model. This looks really good so far. I'm really impressed with the number boards. There's 2 of them, one on either side of the model. Those are well done because there's no light leakage. Everything looks good in the dark. You know, they're lit very well. Right in the middle between the 2 number boards, you'll find that there's a brass bell there. That does move just a little bit, as if you move it around just some. On either side, there are 2 marker lights. Those are lit as well. On the front of the Pilot, you'll find that there is the headlight. On either side of the headlight, you'll find a couple of number boards there as well. Those say 4014. On the front of the headlight, right below it, you'll find that there's a placard that says Union Pacific 4014. Behind that placard, there's an incredible amount of detail. There's some radiator detail, and also down below there are some doors. You can see that there are some hinges on it that look pretty good. On the front of the Pilot, you'll find it there on the cow catcher. You'll find that this does open up so that you can reveal a dummy coupler on the front there. You just move it around and it comes out. You can replace that with the real coupler if you'd, or an operational coupler if you'd like. There's, like I showed you earlier, it's supplied with the model when you first open it up. And it's just easy as that, is, you know, closing that up, and there it is, just like that. Now, if you look at the front down below over here, you'll find that there's some more detail behind this area right here, and also there are the cylinders. And on the top over here, you'll find a bunch of piping detail and also a plaque right there that I'm going to try to get a close-up of here in a couple minutes. So let's take a look at the side of the model. On this portion of the model, you'll notice that the detail is exquisite. It just looks phenomenal. Look at the drive wheels. They're incredibly well done. I like that they're blacked out. Of course, that's what the real model looks like, but I really don't like when drive wheels have like white walls or anything like that. I like it all blacked out. It looks pretty good. The rods are nice and blackened. They look good, as well as the drive gear. Over here, you'll find that there's a bunch of detail underneath the sill here, along with piping and a bunch of other little details. It's looking really good. Closer to the rear of the locomotive, you'll notice that there's a bunch of detail near the cab. The cab windows do open, and they open fairly easily. They're not like the other ones where you feel like you're going to break them every time you try to open them up. Here in front of the cab, you'll notice that there's a bunch of piping detail right below near the firebox. Here's some more piping and detail. Here's the dynamo, which looks pretty good. Over here is a trailing truck. It's well done. You can see that there's some brake detail, some brake cylinders, and also that the bearing caps are painted silver. Over here at the second set of drivers, you'll notice that the rods are blackened alongside with the valve detail or valve gear. Over here is the cylinder. This driver and this driver both have traction tires. You can go to the Broadway Limited site and choose to get the traction tire, or get the wheels that do not have traction tires. You can replace those. And you'll notice that there are some tanks over here and over here as well. This is just very well detailed under here. Seems like there was not one detail that was missed. Maybe a couple or so from the actual prototype. So let's take a look at the cab a little bit more in detail. So if you take a closer look at the cab, you'll notice that there are two cab figures. It is also lit, and you can see all the details in there. Over here is the drop plate over here. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the angle of the tender. It's making it seem like it's not, flat or anything. But down over here, you'll find that there's some more detail. Over here, if you can see it, there is the wires for the pigtail that connect from the electronics inside the locomotive and inside the tender. It doesn't look too bad. It just looks like hoses that, something that you find in the prototype. So it doesn't look too bad. Looking at the rear of the tender, you'll notice that there are some more details. Here's a ladder right here. Down here is a cut lever detail, along with a nice little pipe that comes down right there. On the other side is a brake line over here. Here is a metal coupler. It's not a KD, but at least it's metal. It's not going to break. On top right here, you'll find that there's an emergency light. It does not light up, which is unfortunate. I've messed with all the settings. It's not lit. Right below that light, you'll see that there is the rear light, which does light up. It looks pretty good. On either side of the tender right here, you'll find that there are some marker lights. Those do light up, and they look pretty good. So let's take a look at the other side of the model. So looking at this side of the model near the cab, there's really not much of a difference between this side and the other. You'll notice that the window does open here as well, and it does open much more freely than the other side. On the top, you notice that there is a hatch that you can pop open and you can shut. Be very careful. It is plastic. You can break it. So if you want to open that up, just be very careful. Down here, you'll find that there's some more piping detail near the firebox, and here is the same amount of detail on the trailing truck, and here is a bunch of piping underneath this as well. Over here, you'll find that these safety valves look pretty good. As the best of my knowledge, those are brass, and they do feel like brass. They don't feel like plastic that's been painted a brass color. So let's take a look at near the front of the engine. So as we take a look at closer to the front of the model, at the top near the smokestack, you'll notice that there is the whistle, and there is a plastic piece with a brass piece at the end of it that makes it look pretty good. So this is a smoke equipped locomotive. So one of the nice features about this locomotive is it is a steam whistle, which when you blow that whistle with function 2, it'll blow smoke out of that whistle. It's a nice touch. I like it. And over here you'll find that the smoke stacks are here, and like I said earlier, smoke equipped, so you'll see smoke out of there, and it looks really good. Now, a lot of people dislike Broadway Limited for the smoke feature because in some of the models in the past, it has melted down the boiler. Now, what's nice about this model in particular, and a lot of the other models that Broadway produces now, this is die cast, so you're not going to have that meltdown issue with the boiler like you've had in the past. I've had my other Broadway Limited Big Boy for a couple years. I use it often, and I use the smoke feature all the time. I really don't ever turn it off unless I'm taking pictures and I don't want it to run out of smoke fluid or anything. But I've never had an issue with it melting down or it causing a problem. It works flawless all the time. This one, I've ran it a couple of times. It runs well. I have not noticed any problems with it at all. So in the front, you'll notice that there's another builder's plate on this side as well, and the drivers here just like the other side. So let's take a look at the top of the model. At the top of the locomotive, you'll notice that there are the sand domes right here and right here. There's some nice detail on top of it. Here are the safety valves like I told you guys about earlier. Over here is the smoke stack. Down there is where you pour the smoke fluid. You just pour about 5 drops in there, and then you give it a really gentle blow so you can get rid of any air pockets or anything, and then it's good to go. Over here is the whistle, like I said earlier, you don't have to put smoke in there because it runs off of the same reservoir as the main smoke does over here. Over here is that little hatch that I told you guys about earlier. You just pull it up. You can use your fingernail to pop that up if you want. And then here's the dynamo. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tender. Here's the top of the tender. It looks pretty good. As you can see that there's not a coal load on this tender. You might be wondering why. Now this is a oil burning locomotive. It does not use coal. So it's a little bit more modern than the older coal locomotives. Over here you'll find that there is some nice detail on the top over here. Some valves, or not some valves, some hatches. Over here some piping. And over here's a nice little box there with some hinges molded into it. And here's some more hatches. There's a good amount of rivet detail on it. Looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and take this layout and see how it sounds.
Switches on the north end might be against you, so go out looking out for switches. That's the radio. Hey, have you got a vent on there? Yes, I do, over. There's a switch that froze up and I can't fix out. Right, copy that. I'll get down there. Engineer's stuck.
Alrighty guys, so that's pretty much it for the video. This model is impeccable. I think Broadway Limited definitely knocked this one out of the park. There was no problems with the paint, there was no broken details, it tracked really well around the layout, I didn't have any derailments whatsoever, and the sound sounded great. So now I have another addition to my Union Pacific Heritage trains. So now I can run some really good looking Heritage trains with the proper steam locomotive, and it's going to look great. I'm just hoping to get some more stuff in. I hope to find Union Pacific SD70M 4015. I hope to find that one, that when I can run it with this train and it'll look pretty good. So like I said, that's pretty much it for the video. If you guys have any questions or comments, put it in a comment down below. If you have a really long comment or you just want to send me something privately, go ahead and send me an email. I'm always checking that out and always happy to respond. So that's pretty much it, guys. Talk later. Take care and keep it on the rails.